Fans, welcome to the articly cold edition of Sports Chat. A lot to talk about this week. Of course, regular season high school basketball has came to an end. Came to an end in pretty impressive fashion as the Cougars, both squads, beat Cumberland Gap last night.
Oh gosh, we got to get Luke to get off this Canadian kick and
I
know. Allow us some warmth in this place. He's not even here. He said it was too warm for him today.
He's a strange cat, that Luke.
Yeah, finished out the regular season. Girls as district champions. Got the #1 seed in the district tournament. They'll be playing next Saturday at Oak Ridge against the winner of, I think, Oak Ridge, Hardin Valley.
Right.
Boys tipped it off, I believe, Monday against Clinton.
Right, now the boys did well against Clinton earlier in the year. So I would expect the boys to hopefully win and advance in the tournament.
You got a big, the girls had a loss at Anderson County, and I think that really served to focus. Some of the girls I talked to said it really served as a wake-up call and put some focus on, how to win games. They missed a lot of free throws against Anderson County. For instance, it was essentially a free throw shooting contest as it came down to at the end. Kept them from having the perfect district record, but even that one loss is a pretty spectacular run through a tough district.
Right. I mean, this is this is a district that usually, even the winning team has 2 to 3 losses in.
It's going to be a tough district tournament. They've obviously beaten every team in the tournament. Halls is the 2nd seed, and I think Anderson County's the 3rd seed. And maybe Hardin Valley's the 4th seed in it. So those top 4, Anderson County obviously beat the Lady Cougars, split the series with them this year. Halls played the Lady Cougars tough twice, and the second game wasn't quite as close, but they lost their star player, who was the district player of the year, to a facial injury in that game. But she's a very good player. She actually won district player of the year. A lot of people thought Courtney Morris would win it. I thought Courtney Morris would probably win it.
Kind of shocked me that Courtney didn't win it, but in an interview that we have online with Coach Brown, he kind of explains that.
The girl from Halls really, it's more of a one-person team. Campbell County is very balanced, as you saw 4 of the people show up on the all-district team. And there's probably an argument you could put Courtney Miller on there as well.
There's an argument you could put Amber Young on there.
Campbell County had a lot of different players, girls with big games on the year. Nick Litton, he scored his 1,000th point since we last spoke. There's a video of that also on our channel. Great career. It's rare to ever see 2 1,000-point scorers. One on the girls' team, one on the boys' team during the same time frame.
Well, I wrote about that this week. How, you literally, assuming you play 25 games in a season, you literally have to have 10 points a game from freshman year on up.
Nick was also named All-District again this year for the 2nd year in a row. He's probably, out of everybody else, he's the best post player in the district.
He is. Corey Poteet was also named All-District, and Trey Torres was an honorable mention to the All-District.
Impressive as a freshman. The future is bright for Campbell County at the point guard spot and some other spots. High ceiling.
Darren Gillenwater and Ralston Lettner saw quite a bit of action last night too.
Coach Housley, he played a lot of his bench last night, more than you'd normally see in the game. He had big, significant minutes for Gunnar St. John, who hit a huge three-pointer to send it. Campbell County was down by 5. He had a huge three-pointer to get him back within 2, and Torres immediately stole the ball and got fouled and hit 2 free throws. And what looked like it was probably going to be a loss down by 5 with about a minute to go turned into an overtime and ended up winning. You can watch that also on our channel. I just posted that video as well.
Yeah, the Cougars, of course, one of the games that they came off a tough week, but they played Carnes this week, which is just been dominating in district.
Yeah, Carnes is, I believe, 24-3 now, and they're just very, very outstanding. They and Oak Ridge both only have 3 losses on the season.
And Cumberland Gap's no slouch.
Cumberland Gap was 17-4, I believe, or something along those lines, 18-4 or something.
Yeah, and it was ranked in the state at one point.
Their losses, Cumberland Gap has this problem. They are in the Greenville district. They lost to Greenville and lost twice at least to South Green this year. So that was 3 of their 4 losses.
Those Greene County schools are tough.
They're state championship level in just about every sport most of the time. And it's a tough, long road trip too, from this area to go all the way to Greenville. But Cumberland Garrett's a solid team, and they beat Campbell County earlier this year, kind of a poorly officiated game. Last night's game was reasonably well officiated. Fat Elvis referee had a little bit of issues though.
Yeah, well, he did run over a fan, and then apparently decided that the spot that I've taken pictures at for 7 years on levels from elementary through college, because when I took pictures at LMU, same spot.
Underneath the basket's a pretty common place to see camera people in every level of sporting events. He was just, I guess, embarrassed over running over the little kid.
Yeah.
The fact that he weighs 450 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I know the risks when I stand there. Chances are, if one of the players collide with me, I'm the one that's going to suffer, not the player. I mean, look at me during football season. Eskridge ran me over. It didn't hurt him. During basketball season, Tyler Chapman about took me out. He was none the worse for wear. Last year, Courtney Morris took me out and was none the worse for wear.
Yeah, just odd. He's an odd bird, that particular official.
But hopefully now that basketball season's over, he can go back to Vegas to pick up his gig as a Fat Elvis impersonator.
But, I'm excited for the district tournament to start. Also this week, went up to Campbell County. The workouts have started with a new weight room, really nice new weight room.
It's an impressive facility. It is reminiscent of UT's facility.
They have about 15 benches in there now, all self-contained weight machines. And also, one of the local fitness places went out of business recently, I think, or got no equipment. Well, I'm not sure which exactly. I'm not sure which one it was. But very nicely, they donated their equipment to the baseball team.
Who now has their own weight room, which is more suited for their style of working out.
The other sports have a different style of working out, where it's more machine-driven and more, aerobic-driven, and not as much trying to build mass and strength as in football. So, the football also donated some of their other machines that they had to it. So there's 2 really nice weight rooms up there now for different styles of athletics. The baseball team's obviously started practicing now. Track has started practicing, and so is softball. So the spring sport practice season is really winding up.
Right.
Should be starting.
Baseball actually has a scrimmage on the 18th of this month. And they play their first game. Their first home game, I believe, is March the 14th against Williamsburg.
So they're all starting to ramp up. The football's looking great. The basketball's postseason. It's a good time to be a Cougar. I think the boys team, I think Halsey, he's going to have a good shot at getting them up, making them run in district. I think they win a couple of games in district. Don't they get to go to the region?
They could. Basically, if you finish third in the district, top 3 in the district go to the region. Maybe top 4 now.
I believe the Lady Cougars, it may already be assured a region berth. Maybe they have to win 1 game.
I think they have to win 1, but
if they win the tournament,
even if they lose their first game, they'll get a consolation game.
If they win the tournament, I think there's a very strong shot that they're going to be hosting some region games.
Right. Same thing. There's always the potential to host a sub-state game, so there's still a chance to go out and see the Cougars at home.
Hopefully, they both get on a good roll and go through the tournament. I know that both teams are focused. This is a really good future, really good coaches up there right now in every sport.
Yeah, and since we last talked, we were out of town last weekend. They had Cougar signing day with over 50 middle schoolers ready to come up and be freshmen, and so far they've been working out pretty consistently. They've been having 80 to 90 person workouts.
I was impressed by that. I figure if they can get half of the 50 plus players they signed to actually show up in a class, that'll be a big class. If you can get, most high school football teams have between 60 and 80 players. If you can get 25 a year and get it for 4 years, you're going to have 100 players on your team.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Coach Price told us they got the new jerseys, got 75 new jerseys, and hopefully the team is big enough. If you're really working hard in practice, you'll get to earn your jersey and earn a starting jersey. So that's a goal to shoot for all those players.
And they're very nice jerseys. They're reminiscent of Boise State's uniform.
White with some blue on them. Really, really nice jersey. Hats off to the people getting together and funding all this weight room, funding everything. It's just a great job of the community so
Logan Hunter signed with Tusculum College.
Yeah.
That's a Division II school. That's pretty major.
Well, it's just showing you if you work hard at anything you work at, go out for your sports, you're going to get some scholarships, offers, you're going to sign some places, and it's free money. It's free, helps your parents get you a better education.
Athletic Director Sherry Chapman told me they were about to have another round of signings with golf and track coming up soon too.
I expect that there'll be a lot more scholarship dollars coming in to local kids. It's good news.
I don't know a whole lot about how the golf team did this year. Golf is really hard to follow on the high school level because they play very few matches locally. It's really quick season.
Spring sports are hard to follow. Tennis,
tennis is really tough. Very short schedule.
Rarely get home matches of tennis, and when they do, they're split. But now that they're building the new courts, probably won't be ready this year. Going to probably be a year or so before they're ready. But when you have to split the teams, and a lot of times people have just forfeited rather than come up here and play because of that team splitting.
Right, because most teams only have one coach.
But you can check them out when they're in town and have a game going at the
Also,
park.
they play Anderson County and Clinton at J.C. Park in Anderson County. That's a very short drive.
So there'll be some opportunities to watch all the sports. Campbell County hosts at least one track meet a year, sometimes two. They also have a middle school track meet that they host up there.
They also they have several meets at Anderson County High School.
I believe since we last spoke, the basketball tournament's wrapped up at the middle school level.
Right, Jacksboro and the Jacksboro boys and La Follett's girls bowed out before the sectional round. So there was no trip to Sevier County this year for anyone.
La Follette lost in the first round to Jacksboro, and Coach Dobson announced his resignation. He spent more time with his family.
And it's very tough to coach and have a family.
He's got some young children. A lot of time you spend up there. You're up there till 8, 9 o'clock at night.
I remember when Sherry Chapman stepped down from coaching the first time to spend time with her kids, and she really, she was out of it for a while there.
You do what you have to for your family, and Coach Dawson had great success. Whoever steps into his shoes is going to have big shoes to fill.
Yeah, that's the big question right now. La Follette's got a rich tradition of basketball, and it's not 100% impossible that Vic King comes back and ends his career at La Follette.
You never know. They got some good players to work with right now.
Dallas Griffith is an outstanding basketball player.
He's a big kid, already over 6 feet tall. And I think he's only in the 7th grade.
I thought he was an 8th grader. I really did.
He's got a bright future. Whoever comes in and takes over for Coach Dodson, the success he's built, he followed Vic King's success and didn't really have that much of a drop. I think he won 3 sectional titles, which is the equivalent of state titles.
Right. That's as high as it gets in middle school basketball. Mike Reynolds had some great success there. Of course, obviously Vic King, Rick Hunley had some great success at La Follette. So they've been some really great coaches.
Really, it sort of spun off from La Follette High School with this great basketball tradition under John Brown. And when it became just La Follette Middle School, he had some good coaching. And Vic King was a good coach for a lot of years. He kind of set the standard, or kept the standard going for La Follette basketball. So it's always more been a La Follette basketball, Jacksboro football.
Right, it's just kind of the way it was. If you look at Jacksboro, there's been a lot of strong football teams there. And the same thing, La Follette's had a couple strong football teams. Jacksboro's had a couple strong basketball teams. But as a rule, it's been La Follette basketball, Jacksboro football. Now, there's been a lot of coaching changes of late. Scott County and Powell both have coaching vacancies. 2 strong programs. Anderson County's one of Anderson County's basketball coaches. Asked me, he said, "Do you think the Prices we consider going to Powell because that's a prestigious program?" And they're still with us, but I mean that's something to think about. I mean, even Matt could have spun off and went to Powell.
I believe that they will get opportunities like that in the coming years. I'm not sure quite ready that Powell will be ready to go after them after a year as head coaches, but like I said, Powell's a state championship level football program,
and that's another coach that left to spend more time with his family. He had a great run, and he didn't really have anything to prove.
They've had they had Clark Duncan over there for years and had them playing for state championships a lot. They're one of those programs that I expect a veteran head coach likely to take the job there from maybe even some other big school in the region. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
That's another one. I wouldn't be overly surprised to see Clark Duncan come back.
Well, like I said, you may even see someone come from out of state to take that job.
That's the kind of job that it is. I mean, it really is.
As far as Central East Tennessee goes, it's Oak Ridge, probably Powell. That's about the premier jobs right there in that Central East Tennessee area. You get down toward Maryville and Alcoa in southeastern Tennessee, there's some prestige there,
right,
of course. But just as far as the Knoxville, Anderson County, northern side of Knoxville.
Farragut would be the other one I would lump into that one.
Farragut, I don't know they may have won a state championship in football some years ago. So yeah, it's just that's the prestigious jobs in that area. Lately, some places like Grace Christian have came and opened up their wallets, Webb,
right,
private school wallets. But for public school dollars, Powell's one of the most prestigious ones you're going to be able to find in the area.
Of course, also since we last spoke, there was this little football game called the Super Bowl went on.
Yeah, it was a barn-burning Super Bowl. It's about as good a game as you can ever expect.
Of course, the Giants won. Eli Manning had a great game in his brother's home stadium, or at least what's still currently his brother's home stadium.
Probably not for much longer, the way things have gone. But, it's just another year where the Patriots, ever since Spygate was exposed, didn't win a Super Bowl. This was actually the first year they'd even won playoff games since that 2007 season. Tom Brady's legacy, I'm personally sorry, you have to question it at this point. I know he's put up some pretty big numbers, but without rampant cheating, they've...
Right, and especially Belichick. Tom Brady, at least, you can say he has put up decent numbers. Bill Belichick, since Spygate, is...
Yeah, he's not won the Super Bowl. They've won at a high level. And the other thing that hurts Tom Brady's legacy, in my mind, is the fact that Matt Castle, who threw 14 passes in his USC career, had not started the game since high school. Threw 25 NFL passes up to that point as well. Came in and threw for 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, a few interceptions, and the Patriots had a top 15 or 12 offense in the league without Brady. They won 11 games and won their division. You see what happened to the Colts when Manning went down.
Right.
It was disastrously bad. But Brady, without Brady, the Patriots were just fine. They didn't perform at any really different level than they had any other year besides this year since then. It's just, Castle, he's still never thrown for as many yards as a starter in Kansas City as he threw that year in New England.
Now, I will say this for the Patriots. They've got a lot of big-name talent on their team. But they also have a lot of undrafted guys that play really well on that team. That's the credit I will give the Patriots.
At the end of the day, it becomes a murky picture. It was murky at the time anyway, the way the NFL destroyed all the evidence before anyone got to see it. Fined the Patriots hundreds of thousands of dollars, fined Bill Belichick hundreds of thousands of dollars, took away their draft pick. So they obviously were doing something pretty severe with what was going on.
But we'll never know.
You'll never know exactly what, because like I said, the NFL destroyed it all, they said, before it could get out. The NFL doesn't want any kind of thing hurting their reputation as far as cheating. But it was obvious that they were cheating and they were winning at a high level while they were doing it, and they've not quite recovered from that since then. So that puts a tarnish on Brady. And Brady's still going to be considered a top 10 quarterback of all time. But I don't think you can throw him into that quarterback conversation where he's in the top 2 or 3 of all time, just because of this.
Well, fans, that's about all the time we have for this extremely cold sports chat. We'll be back next week with some reports on the high school basketball